What's up, everybody? This is COOLA from Raw Stocks. We are live in another pre-market prep, and yesterday was an eventful day between the high school drama with Elon Musk and Donald Trump to approaching and hitting the 6,000 key level on SPX was huge. So, coincidental timing, or is that just part of the game, right? So let's take a look at this right now. We can see that we made the push into yesterday, got a close ultimately below our daily 4. Is this like a flash type of sell event that we wouldn't really have closed under the daily 4? Or is this something where we would have definitely seen some weakness and then maybe we see a little bit of a pullback? Well, that's to be said, or that's to be found out. But what I do know is that there's weakness in a few areas, and there was a good time to buy volatility yesterday. I've been banging the drum on it for the last 2 days for you to buy volatility at key levels, and yesterday you got a little bit of a spike of that, so hopefully you were able to take advantage of that. But what we're looking at today, before we get into it, let's do a shout out to our sponsors, Gamma Edge and Black Box Stocks. Without those guys, we'd not be able to do what we do. Make sure you check the links in the bios for access and links for discounts on those. So moving on to our coverage of SPY now. So let's take a look at the data real quick. Let's go with SPX first. SPX full complex here. We're looking at a very much call dominated gamma condition. This is a huge spread, in my opinion, anywhere between 59.05 and all the way to 6,000. It's kind of an interesting little, move here, and we're starting to see the growth at 6,100. Okay, so this is the largest we've seen in some time start to grow. 6,100, 6,150, 6,200. Okay, these are growing. These are growing. So are we about to see expansion? Potentially, but today very much put dominated. What would happen if we pushed way past those limits? We'd see a squeeze today, an upward squeeze. This would be called the rubber band effect. Everybody's short, we get over the top of it, and people are forced into liquidation, and we see an upwards run. So is that what we're going to see today? Potentially. Let's dive into it a little bit more. So first and foremost, let's identify our range, which is 59.75 to 59.50 for the day. So let's go to our day trading chart. You can see yesterday's range hit almost perfectly. We sold down. We talked about the sell down with a slip of this range, and then we see this bounce right off our range and visit right back towards the top of it. If you did not take advantage of this, like it went from our range to the top of the range back down to the bottom, and then it actually later on the day when the drama was unfolding, we saw it slip our range. And this is what happens when you slip the range. The high levels of volatility start to happen. Look at that, boom, big drop outside our range, and then ultimately got bought up closer towards that 5,900 and 5,905 area. That has been a key pivot level for us. So saw it retest the range, sell down into it, but today we're opening up near highs, right? So we're going to take a look at that here in just 1 second. We had good jobs data. Speaking of good jobs data, let's just pull that over real quick. We are Friday. Okay, average hourly earnings month over month. We had an increase. Okay, so it's good and it's bad, right? Non-farm down just slightly, and unemployment rate remains the same. Consumer credit at 2 o'clock is very insightful. I talked about this previously on one of our pre-market preps, so keep an eye on that to drop towards that 2 o'clock hour. That's going to be our power hour, right? Power hour, sour hour. And I think that is something we really need to pay attention to. But generally speaking, as average hourly earnings increase, that is a negative for stocks, as that is that is more of an expense for them. But unemployment stays the same. Non-farm employment virtually remains the same, but down just slightly. So we're going to see how the market responds to this. As of right now, it's looking very bullish. So there might be some other news that I'm missing. So anyways, I'm sorry, got off track there a little bit. 59.75, 59.75 is our new range to 59.50. So we're on that. So right now we're above this. Let's take a look real quick at SPY. Let me see where we're at. So we're at the top of the range right now, right? Yeah, we're over the top of the range. So these levels don't mean anything right now. I'll get new numbers and fill them all in. So as of right now, we're above this range. So when we see this is something similar where we talked about it on this day here and Tuesday, where we saw the expansion off of this zone. We're going to want to retest this 59.75 area and see if it wants to hold that. And if we do hold that, watch for some type of move up towards that high for a test of that. If we do break through 6,000, I do believe that we could see a really good size squeeze. As of right now, when we start looking at this data, this is going to change drastically. So this is going to go from put dominated to call dominated, and you're going to keep seeing people adding to shorts, and we're going to see it likely squeeze for distribution to the upside. How far can we really get? I mean, yesterday, well, with our close yesterday, I imagine that we're really right above this range again. With our anticipated VIX, we might have an expanded VIX, so we might get a little bit up in this range, the 60-20 area. So watch for just a move slightly above this range. If you guys want to take advantage of Trendbox, go ahead and do it. It's free. It's on TradingView, I believe. If it's not, then make sure you message me on X or on the Discord, and I will get it available to you. So it kind of tells you the range, the containment range, and very effective. It's VIX based. So keep an eye on this move right here. If we do slip down towards that 59.50 area, I do believe it's another buy. But if we do start getting below this, I think that is really where you need to watch that 5,900 visit in the bare minimum. Okay. But as of right now, today, it's very put dominated, but I think this is going to end up being a gamma squeeze based on what we're seeing. Watch the 59.75 visit for a move back up towards yesterday's high. And at that point, we're going to make a decision that is a key level right here at 6,000. There's definite resistance here, so be careful. If we do make the move to 6,000 first, right? So we're opening up near here or somewhere right around here. If we do make that move up here first, watch for a potential sell down before let's just say at least to 59.75, and then we may see a V-shaped recovery. There's a couple different scenarios that we could see today, but that is definitely one you need to be on the lookout for. Let me delete these. Clean this chart up a little bit. So pivot areas right here. And watch the resistance up into this range right here. SPY, let's take a look. New data. Let's look for confluence. Okay, call dominated here. You are starting to see expansion up into that 610, 605. It's really that 608. We saw the 601, the 6100 was really growing. So that really puts around that 608 area if you're looking at trying to find some value there. Today, very much call dominated on the SPY side. So interesting dynamic there that we're seeing. Very much put dominated on the swings on SPX, but on the swings we see the calls are just lit up here. So the expansion runs all the way up into that 608 area, exactly what we were talking about. So is it worth maybe looking at some type of 607 call if they're less than $10 or less than $5 or right around $5 at open? Potentially. You could see that thing go virtually, I don't know, about 1,000% gains, right? So potentially in that range. I mean, at least you're going to see 20x gains. So we're going to see. It might be very late in the day, very late in the day that you would see something like that, but we may not get that type of gamma squeeze. We may not. So we're going to see what happens today, but this is an interesting read here. Very much does help the idea that we do see a breakout squeeze today on the distribution to the upside. But do not underestimate the volatility that is around here. So let's mark this out. On the range, we have 593 to 600 on the range today. Wider range, volatility is increased, so need to keep an eye on that. I'm getting alerted somewhere. Good morning, good morning. All right, so right now, yesterday's resistance, yesterday's key pivot line was 598, and that's essentially right around our 6,000 mark, like we were talking about. You can see that that's kind of where we're opening again. So let's see kind of what happens at the market open, see if we're going to break towards the upside of this. And if that is the case, that's going to drive us a little bit over that 6,000 mark if we do hit the 600 on SPY. Let's take a look at Tesla real quick. And this is going to be, if I had to guess, this is going to give us a little bit of issues. You can see yesterday that we had the 320 low. Well, we slipped it immediately, and then we came back, retested into this 320 range, and it just started dropping after that. Once we got outside, this is a clear example of how getting outside of our range can really cause distribution or volatility, not necessarily distribution in a good way or an expected way, but more of a volatility driven type of move here. And you can see it pushed all the way down towards 271. We looked at grabbing the swings around that 275 mark. Looking for it to recover over 280, and now we're seeing it at 295. So it's going to probably be a closeout for our 300 calls for next week that we swung. We took one yesterday. I said, Mama said, don't let a swing, don't swing your position if you get 25% a day. And yeah, we took half it off, but we got one more. We're going to let that go. Probably at open. We're going to see kind of how it looks. I think the volatility will still be increased at this moment, and so we got to take advantage of that. If things kind of settle out, or we kind of let it just kind of roll out, I think the volatility on those contracts will drop, and you'll start to have a bigger move for that to be profitable. So let's take a look at the data today. We are looking at 300 to 290. So right now it's kind of a split decision, right? It wouldn't surprise me to see us kind of bounce. And I talked about this last night, where I thought that we'd potentially, when we got the news that they're going to have their meeting, a range between 380 and 280. But as of right now, this has changed to just in a very tight range right now for us towards that 300 to 290 here, and it's very much neutral. People are trying to figure out, just completely hedged here, waiting it out, kind of see what's happening, and we're going to see if it's probably going to make its way back up, or if we're going to start slipping. If this call goes bad and we start to see stuff on it, it could go down quickly. But if it does recover, if we get news that it went well, I think we could see this easily recover into that 320 area today. Now, mind you, there is no analysis here when we start talking about influence, right? So we could see influence off of this, and it could be in a negative stance. We could see influence on a positive stance. So you're gambling at that point. We're losing our edge here, trying to, play one way or another, especially if you're doing something with a low 0-day today expiration, or if you're doing next week. So that's why we're going to go ahead and close out our position. We're not going to swing it, because this could go either way. At that point, we're taking out our edge. So we're moving on from Tesla at open for myself. I don't know about the other traders here, the other analysts, but that's what we're looking to do. NVIDIA, we talked about this. This is a perfect example of how just kind of what I highlighted on SPX. We saw this was going to be resistance up in this area. Once we pop the top here, getting into our high side of our range, you can see it got right into that range, and then it started chasing towards the middle part of our range here, and liquidity on the downside. Is this thing going to press back up and towards our 145 top of the range again? Well, it absolutely could. It's really going to be dependent on the market. Let's look at this data real quick. So for me, call dominated and very much of a draw towards that 145 area. This almost looks like a no-brainer. Honestly, looks like a no-brainer. You would buy into 139 if it did see some type of sell back, or excuse me, sell in the open. Yeah, you're buying into 139, which is this key level. Liquidity was here. We saw a decisive point here. We talked about that last time. Yeah, this is a pretty solid little setup. You lose 139, then great, you get out. But I think you buy looking to revisit into that 145 zone on Nvidia based on the data that we're seeing here. Very much call dominated. Gamma conditions 2.57 on the GEX side, and a support here, which is not super big, but a relatively decent size support here at 139. Looking to drive this thing into 142. If you get over the top of 142, you're going to see this thing definitely drive into that 145 range. So looking solid here overall. Everything on the market looks up, right, in regards to moving up. When we start looking at our actual trends here. Oh, wrong chart. When we start looking at how does this look, how is everything looking, let's look at our Mag 7 chart here. You're going to see Mag 7 chart here is, had a rough day. Yeah, I can look at Meta. I just gotta get enough time to get it edited on there, but I'll do it. I'll do one of them. Which one's more important? Let's see. As we look at this, we're seeing on our daily 4 here, we're seeing a recovery back over our daily 4. So was this just a news driven sell-off? Came into the 20 here for the Mag 7. We're going to see if this is going to bounce off this, and maybe we see that expansion that we're seeing, or that we're potentially going to see today. So I've been asked to cover Amazon. Let's take a look at it real quick. Driving into this range, we see some profit taken up into these key levels here. We talked about this before. When you start seeing this type of move here, this generally acts as a compression for a distribution towards the upside, based on those moving averages. That's the history of that move. Now, you don't really like that we're just very consolidated here. Look at the dailies. Not much movement here on Amazon here at this range. I think we know that Bezos was selling, and he's probably selling into this range, and people are not really interested in trying to push it over. But once you get over the top of it, maybe he's released his shares, and we'll see if this thing it has the legs to grow. Let's take a look at the data real quick and see if it's going to confirm what we're thinking. Okay, full complex here, pretty strong net GEX here to the call side. Gamma condition, very much call dominated, and everything looks positive into that 212. Where are we at right now? 212.5. So we're sitting kind of at the top of the supply here. Things look green to the upside. Let's look short term. 212 is a pivot here. 217.5 on the high side. I don't think it'll get to 220, but I could be wrong. Nothing really drawing it to the downside here. There's a lot of positives here, based on what we're seeing, but nothing that would tell me that this is going to potentially drop. So if we do drop, it would be shocking to me. This looks more bullish into 212, but you got to watch this and got to use this as a pivot. So 212 to 202 is the range for the day, which is huge for Amazon because it doesn't really move like that. If I had to guess, it's really going to be a game of the 212.5. looking to press up towards liquidity here on that previous day high at 214.84 and see if it can really press into a little bit higher towards that 217 range, which is that pivot low. 216.81, 217.5. We're going to see if it wants to press over that, but it's going to be 212.50 that is your pivot. Otherwise, expect a range day. I wouldn't really see anything more than if we don't break over the top of this. I think it's more of a range day that we see a little consolidation. But if we do get what I'm thinking that is on potential here, we could see this thing really press up, move towards a distribution to the upside if we get that gamma squeeze. So it's an exciting day to kind of take a look at and see what's going to happen. We got either have a day of a squeeze, or we're probably going to find a day of a chop. I don't think we're going to have any type of distribution to the downside. I think this is more of one of those days that we might get that continued distribution to the upside. When everything was going down, that's when they get you. So hopefully you guys found this insightful. Hopefully you find it educational. If you guys are interested in taking a look at this, I know this gets released on social media platforms after the open, but if you're interested in checking it out, we've got several people here in the live. It's not anything that we put out just behind a paywall. This is included with just your regular free membership if you join the Discord. But if you are interested in what we do and access to our 6 analysts and a ton of data, make sure you visit rawstocksllc.com, or the links in our bio, and we will catch you next time.